I don't want another young gymnast, Olympic athlete, or any individual to experience the horror that I and hundreds of others have endured before, during, and continuing to this day in the wake of the Larry Nassar abuse. To be clear,
Take your time.
To be clear, I blame Larry Nassar, and I also blame an entire system that enabled and perpetrated his abuse. USA Gymnastics and the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee knew that I was abused by their official team doctor long before I was ever made aware of their knowledge. I sit before you today to raise my voice so that no little girl must endure what I, the athletes at this table, and the countless others who needlessly suffered under Nassar's guise of medical treatment, which we continue to endure today. We suffered and continue to suffer because no one at FBI, USAG, or the USOPC did what was necessary to protect us. We have been failed, and we deserve answers.
I am tired of waiting for people to do the right thing because my abuse was enough, and we deserve justice. These individuals clearly violated policies and were negligent in executing their duties, and in doing so, more girls were abused by Larry Nassar for over a year. To not indict these agents is a disservice to me and my teammates. It is a disservice to the system which was built to protect all of us from abuse. It was a disservice to every victim who suffered needlessly at the hands of Larry Nassar after I spoke up.
Without knowing who knew what when, we cannot identify all enablers or determine whether they are still in positions of power. We just can't fix a problem we don't understand. And we can't understand the problem unless and until we have all of the facts. If we don't do all we can to get these facts, the problems we are here to address will persist. And we are deluding ourselves if we think other children can be spared the institutionalized tolerance and normalization of abuse that I and so many others had to endure.
Wow. Wow. What brave young women those are. That was the greatest gymnast in the history of the world, Simone Biles, and another gold medalist in McKayla Maroney testifying in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee on Wednesday. Maggie Nichols and Aly Raisman also testified about how the FBI mishandled its investigation of sexual abuse allegations against former USA Gymnastics doctor Larry Nassar, according to CNN. Now, what's strange here is this is probably the biggest, most scandalous sports story in history. Think about it. This is bigger than O.J. Simpson. This is bigger than anything I can think of in terms of sports. You have one of the greatest athletes who ever lived right there testifying in Simone Biles, the greatest, most accomplished gymnast that has ever lived. And you have gold medalists like McKayla Maroney and Aly Raisman testifying that they were systemically failed by USA Gymnastics and by the FBI, while a doctor got away with sexually molesting hundreds of young women. That is the magnitude of this story, the importance of this story. I don't believe is being truly broadcast by our mainstream media. I don't think the grasp of it even social media, I can't think of a bigger scandal possible than this in sports. The systemic most molestation of some of the most high profile and accomplished athletes on the planet. The systemic exploitation of some of the most accomplished, respected athletes on the planet. And a lot of this abuse was done right up under the nose of everybody, of their parents, even. If you read some of the testimony, this doctor was able to molest some of these girls while their mothers were in the room. This is mind-blowing. This is mind-boggling. But the reason I view this particular story as important and wanted to talk about it here on this show is it strikes fear in my heart. I am not a parent, but I'm in my late 30s and I got the itch. Okay, the itch is coming. The itch is coming, as it does when you're in your late, when you haven't had any kids and you're in your late 30s and you see kids and you're like, oh, look at that little boy, look at that little girl, And so because that itch is coming, I am looking at this story and it is making me go, thank God I don't have any children. Like, seriously. Like, if I wanted to have any kids, I am glad I don't have any right now. Because how can you tell who you can leave your kids with? Who do you trust? If you can be one of the most accomplished athletes in the history of the world, and Simone Biles is absolutely that. She's arguably the most dominant athlete of the 21st century. She's on a short list with Usain Bolt, Michael Phelps, Messi and Ronaldo, Tom Brady, Serena Williams, and LeBron James as being the most dominant athlete living today. And she may be the greatest in the context of her sport of any of those people. She is the Michael Jordan of gymnastics, the Muhammad Ali, the Sugar Ray Robinson of gymnastics. The Babe Ruth of gymnastics, whatever you want to call it. And this happened to her. This was allowed to happen to her. She was exploited. So what chance would my kids have? If I have a daughter, my niece that I just talked about was in gymnastics as well. Now I'm wondering, do I have to ask her about who her coaches were? Like seriously, who can you trust? What can you do? It's almost impossible to trust anybody these days. You hear about teachers? Haven't you seen all these teachers who are having sex with their students? It used to be you just had to worry about the girls, but now you have to worry about the boys too. The female teachers are molesting the kids now. Ever since Mary Kay Letourneau. Like, that's where we're at in this society now, folks. You can't trust anybody. And I really wanted to talk about this with Reverend Campbell about who he trusts around his kids. And I really wish there were we were on terrestrially, because I would definitely want to ask a lot of that audience who they trust with their children. Okay, folks, time to take another break. We are not on the air on 92.7 FM from what I've heard, understanding. I don't know, it's almost it's 7:20 now, 7:19. And we still have not gotten the terrestrial feed. We are still online. If you're online, you're watching this, you already know that. So if you're online watching, give me a call, 219-885-1371. Tweet me. Tweet me at The Chemist Lives. The Chemist is spelled with a K, as I'm a product of the Gary Community School System, but at The Chemist Lives, KHEMISTLIVES. Give me a call and talk to me. Or you can, I'm running the WLTH AM 1370 Facebook account right now. Hit me up on that if you're watching online. Give me a call, 219-885-1371. We'll be right back after this.